circle left. I know where I come from. How about you?
This is Charlie Petrie with Square Dance Callers coming. This is my first podcast in about, 2 years now. I really wanted to get back into it. I don't have any video. My camera's currently not working. But tonight I have got Bill VanBergen from Buffalo, Minnesota. Bill, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, Charlie, I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. So we met a couple of years ago at one of the national conventions, and
Yep.
I've had the opportunity to come and call up at your club. You've got a club, is it B&B Squares? Is that correct?
B&B Squares. Yep.
I'm staring at my laptop like I'm on the camera, but I'm not. I guess I can look anywhere I want. But so we met back then and really had a good time getting to know you and your family, and spent some time in Buffalo, Minnesota, a few days with you and Bill, you and Brad, and
I'm Bill.
Yep, with you and Brad.
The other guy is Brad. My wife is Shar.
Shar, okay.
Yeah.
But tonight we're going to talk about you and what you do in square dancing and everything. So first of all, just introduce yourself, Bill. It's Bill VanBergen. Tell us more about Bill.
Yeah. Bill VanBergen, as you mentioned, from Buffalo, Minnesota. Up in Minnesota, been here my whole life. Shar and I have been married, be 38 years this fall. Wow. And we have 2 kids. My son Marty is married and has a 3-year-old daughter and a 3-month-old son. So we got a couple of grandkids, and my daughter's name is Liz or Elizabeth, and they're both don't live at home, but they're not too far away. They're both in northern Wisconsin. So I'm about my family. So that's the first thing I would tell you about me. I've got 3 brothers and a sister. My parents are still with us. And like I said, this part of the country has been my home all my life.
So born there, never lived anywhere but Minnesota?
Well, so Buffalo is about 40 miles northwest of Minneapolis. So kind of moving towards the central part of the state, or south central part of the state. So we're just outside the Twin Cities metro. You could kind of call it an exurb area. Buffalo is a city of about 15,000 people, but we're out in the country about 5 miles out of town on 5 acres.
Okay.
So,
well, let's get into it.
We've been, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You've been doing what?
Well, I was going to start talking about square dancing and stuff,
okay,
but
absolutely.
I'll let you
be. All right, we'll get after it, man. So tell me, when did you first find out what square dancing was? When did you start dancing?
So, when you ask when did I know what square dancing was, I did, like almost everybody across the country, did a little bit of it in school, either in 8th grade or 9th grade. So I like to think about that once in a while, because when I was a kid, all I remember is I did like holding hands with girls. But everything sounded the same. No 2 words, no 2 calls sounded different from another. I was confused as heck, and I couldn't wait to just get off and play softball or basketball or football or volleyball or floor hockey or anything but square dancing. But as an adult, in 2018, the fall of 2018, Nutzes invited us to come to give it a try with them. My wife Shar works with Michelle Newts, and she and Dad were going to go give it a try. They had found an ad in the paper. I think they tried it at a demo once too, and we were kind of hanging out with them off and on anyway. And they said, you should give this a try. So Shar had to talk me into it. I was reluctant, but she said, you got to go at least once.
Right.
And I've told this story many times, so I've got a lot of people that can vouch for me. It sounds like a made up line, but it's the truth. I was hesitant to go because I was afraid I would like it. And if I like it, then what?
Right.
And that's the truth. But we went once and a bunch of friendly people, and they said, "Will you come back next week?" I said, "Yes, I would." And the rest is history. So that was September of 2018. We we're just doing lessons, obviously, for a couple of months. The leaders in our club were kept telling us, "Well, you have to graduate. You're not graduated." But we did go to a new dancer dance, and we just loved it. And, and the four of us ended up at Applebee's looking through the schedule, and we started planning what we were going to do. The dances we were going to for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And the first dance we were going to go to, not listed as new dancer dance, but we didn't know anything about this. So Shar actually called their club president and asked if it'd be okay if we come. And she said, yes, it would. And right out of the gate, you're probably going out 2 or 3 times a week and just absolutely loving it.
Wow. Okay.
And we did that through the first year that we were in it. And our Minnesota State Convention is in second weekend in June, and that was absolutely the highlight. So that's kind of how we got into it, how we got started.
And so now you and Brad were friends before this, I guess. How long had y'all known each other?
So we'd known Brad and Michelle for a few years.
Okay.
But like I said, Shar and Michelle worked together, so that's kind of how we knew each other. And the
Gotcha.
four of us got together for dinner or something like that, or played board games or something, or play cards a few times. So we'd known each other for a few years.
When did you decide you wanted to start trying to be a caller?
Well, interestingly enough, it was not that long, and we'd probably been into it about a year. And I kind of caught myself, or others caught me, kind of singing along a lot of the time when we're dancing. And I actually had a couple of people say to me, which I didn't expect. They said, "You should be a caller." And I thought that was kind of an odd thing, but I really started to think about it a little bit and was thinking that might be something I'd want to get into, or give it a try. And one of my primary motivations was when we were out there and we're going, week after week after week and multiple times a week when we can, and we're just loving it. And I'm asking, or we're asking ourselves, why haven't we been doing this all our life?
Yeah.
Then we start, why doesn't everybody do this? Okay, that's the mindset at the time anyway. And so one of my motivations was, if I was a caller, then I could potentially teach people to dance, and then I could help spread the word on how much fun this was and how valuable it would be in your life, and this would be great for you. So that was kind of one of my motivations. But we'd probably been in it just, a year or less, and I was starting to think about it.
Okay.
So
now coming into it, when you're learning how to call, early on, who gave you like your opportunity? Who'd you go talk to? Who'd you get on the mic with? That kind of thing.
yeah, so two people in particular, two callers here in Minnesota, Dan Sahlstrom and Tom Allen. And Tom Allen's located in St. Cloud, Minnesota. They have a couple clubs in St. Cloud, and he would calls for, obviously as a guest caller for a number of local clubs. And I visited with him, kind of, picking his brain and hearing some of his stories as a caller, and same way with Dan. And And so I talked to each of them individually, and it was interesting because they both gave me the very same advice, or where to start. And both of them said, well, you should learn a couple singing calls. And so I thought, okay, I I'll figure out how to do that. Um, and so one of the first things I did was we went to that Minnesota State Convention I mentioned the first time around, and Hunter Kell was the featured caller for that convention, and he had some CDs for sale, and we bought one of his CDs. And what I started doing first was actually just playing Hunter Keller singing calls in the living room, and I just started singing along to them. And so there was some on the CD I really, really liked, and some were they're great, but they weren't. There's like three or four or five I just kept repeating over and over. And it was funny because as a newer dancer, it was hard to even follow some of the calls. I didn't even know plus at that time, so there were plus figures in the singing calls. But that was I just started to kind of get a feel for it. Um, then Tom Allen loaned me a record player and a little box of records from his collection,
Right.
and that was great. And so I brought that home, and I picked out two or three songs that I started working on, just trying to imitate the studio track, obviously the studio side, and then work on singing on the music side only. And as I mentioned, Dan Sahlstrom had given me the very same advice, and I kind of kept bouncing ideas off of Dan, bouncing some ideas off of Tom. And I think Dan let me dig through one of his endless collections of records, and I pulled out a couple more that I liked. But that's really kind of how I got started, and I got to where I had like three singing calls that were, you know, respectable, and or at least I had some confidence doing them. And then I had a couple opportunities to go to, well, one was like like they call it, not like open mic night or
Right.
canary
Like a
dance or whatever, when it's
uh,
all singing calls. So,
like an open
and
mic.
then
Yeah.
a couple, yeah. So, um, did a couple, three of those, and um, it went pretty well. Um, everything looks so different from the stage, obviously.
Sure.
So that kind of rattled me, but I just kept on singing. I just kept doing what I'd been practicing. Um, and then from there, um, spent some really good time with Dan Sahlstrom at his place, in his lower level at his house. They've got some finished space, and he's got a certain amp set up. And so the interesting thing on a side note is that Brad Newts had decided or thought he would be interested in being a caller too. And the two of us had never talked about it. I mean, I suppose I had mentioned in the car a couple times I was thinking about doing this,
Right.
but we didn't sit down and say, hey, let's do this, or we're going to be calling buddies, or which we are now, of course. But it just, we both, were individually motivated to do this or to look into it. And then so that led to Dan Sahlstrom having us to his place, and got a square of people together, our wives, Janet, maybe a couple of friends, maybe a couple of Dan's kids. And he started teaching the very basics of the patter calling stuff. And he had us over to his place a number of times, and kind of kept growing with it. And
Nice. Okay. Well, do
then
you?
I did one of my singing calls, and Dan was impressed. So I
Good,
was
good.
feeling good
Yep.
about it. I was
So
feeling good.
what's your genre of music that you like in the real world, not square dance?
In the real world, um, well, I'm almost 100% classic rock and
Okay.
blues
Okay.
guy, but I always liked some country music, but not a lot of it. And like in my college days, I would say I'm no interest in country. But the truth is that I really have come to appreciate a lot of um, classic country, or kind of the 60s to the 80s, maybe 60s to 90s era country music. But I'm really classic rock, 80s rock, and blues. That's my kind of stuff. Growing up, it was Van Halen, Foreigner, Journey, Aerosmith, REO. Uh,
Well, do you remember what were
then
those early singing calls that you did? What were they? If they were on records, I know they weren't classic rock.
Yeah, so one, I love the Eagles. Okay, I
Okay.
love the Eagles. Um, and so one of the very first ones I did was Peaceful Easy Feeling.
Nice. Okay.
And I did Ramblin' Man and Let's All Go Down to the River.
Okay.
So those were the three that I worked on first, and then I added on to that Honky Tonk Woman, That's a Royal, and Adelida.
Nice. Okay. I had a lot
So,
of-
but Peaceful Easy Feeling, Ramblin' Man, and Let's All Go Down to the River. Those were the first three that I really dug into and spent a lot of time on. And then, like I said, these Adelida, and just because I recognized the tune and because the record was right there in front of me, and
That's nice. Okay.
Honky Tonk Woman. Yeah.
Well, and of course now you're fully employed in the real world.
Yeah.
The square dancing calling it in your full-time job yet. At some point, it probably will be once you retire from the other jobs. But have you got to call now? You have your club. Tell me a little bit about B&B right now. Your club.
Yeah. So we just started B&B Squares in 2024.
Okay.
Put together the paperwork and all that kind of stuff in May of 2024. So the real core of it, obviously, is Brad and Michelle Newts
Mm-hmm.
and Bill and Shar VanBergen. And then we had a couple people that we were friends with from the club that we learned with that were interested in joining us. And one of them agreed to be an officer, at least sign our documents and stuff. And we had a number of friends that had just been dancing for a year or so, a
Right.
year or less. And they said, yeah, we'd absolutely love to do whatever you guys are doing, which was great. So we had a number of people right out of the gate. I think we probably were in the range of 12 to 16, maybe 18 people. I know, that just were joined as members right away.
Right.
Then word got out and a few more people joined. Then in the fall of 24, we did our first lesson starting in the fall. And we had 9 people go all the way through that first set of lessons.
Okay.
And then we had a few more from other clubs and kind of around the Twin Cities area that really liked what we were doing and want to be a part of it. And so they said, we'd like to join B&B Squares. And a big part of the appeal is we know the things that we enjoy as dancers. And we had some friends that were motivated, and Shar and Michelle were really motivated. And so we went and really had a lot of fun with dance themes, and we worked hard on the decorations and making the themes, and we have other stuff at the dances that kind of help people mix and have fun. We have other games, we have contests, we have little like quizzes, and then people can take time to compare their answers on the quizzes.
It's okay.
And we do all kinds of things, get people mixing and having fun, and mix with as many people as they can prior to and during the dance. And they're all usually like around the theme. But then, we've had all of our dances have been great. We've had some particularly memorable theme dances that people still talk about. One of them being our pirate dance. And it was just great fun. Dan Sahlstrom was calling. He created a couple of calls, swab the deck and some other thing, and he got into it. Brad did a fantastic job doing this pirate voice, and there were like ongoing contests like for each tip, and people had little bags of gold coins, and they had to trade them and pass them back and forth based on winning or losing the little contest or what have you. That was great. We did one Run for the Roses a year ago. Our dance was the same day as the Kentucky Derby. So we had all this amazing decor going, and I don't remember, we did some other theme stuff, and we had some type of contest or quiz related to the dance. And then 2/3 of the way through the dance, Shard set this all up, and we actually put down all the lights, and we played a recorded version of the Kentucky Derby. And when people came in and got their tickets, when they came in the dance, then they got a number. And so whoever's horse won the Derby got another prize or a free dance pass or whatever.
Wow, nice.
But I mean, the whole place, I mean, we had like 12, 13 squares, and the place just blew up. I mean, it just erupted when the race ended, because it was such an exciting finish. It wasn't the race from that day. And so those are just a couple examples. We've had a couple more sets of lessons. We haven't retained as many as we'd like, but we are continuing to grow from people around the Twin Cities. And I think we're up to 50 plus members, and it's just dance friends that say, we want to be in B&B squares.
That's awesome, man. Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
good to
So
hear
the
that
way
y'all got
that
a club
we format is we have Dee Dee Doherty's called dance for us each year that we've been operating. And we have Dan Sahlstrom, and we have Tom Allen, and we have other callers. You were there. Tom Manning's been there. I'm trying to think of, oh goodness, forgive me, all you fellow callers, I'm forgetting. I'm sorry, but then
I know y'all are bringing Teresa Berger in. I know that she told me that. So
she's coming to Minnesota, but she's dancing with, or she's calling with Cambridge Corners.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So we were talking about maybe working, but Cambridge took it over, and that's totally fine. We're 100% supporting what they're doing. There's no problem about it. No problem at all. We're happy for those guys making it work. And so they're north of the Twin Cities, but Teresa's coming up here. But I was going to say, then Brad and I call some. We do probably do like 4 or 5 dances shared each year, and then we each call a solo dance for our club as well.
All right. So you were telling me that y'all call dances together, you and Brad, and sometimes y'all do them. So how do y'all work that out? It's just every other week, or what do y'all do?
So what we do is Michelle and Shar kind of plan out the year, and as far as we're our dances are the first Saturday of the month, and then we have a couple, where there's like a fifth Saturday or something. We've done a couple of those, and we do a between Christmas and New Year's, whether it's a Saturday or not. We just figure out a date. I think we've done one on a Sunday, and maybe we even did one on a Monday. But so we get other callers, we figure out guest callers that we are going to be able to schedule, and so that's 4 or 5 for the year, and then the girls can figure out where they'd like to have us, which dances they'd like to have Brad and I work together. And then somewhere there's 1 or 2 left, and Brad and I, pick one of those that we call a solo dance. So that's for the actual dances. And then what we do is we go up together like half or 2/3 of the night. So he'll do a plus tip, I'll do a plus tip, and then we do a mainstream tip together. Then one of us, a solo tip each, then we'll do one together in the middle, and then another solo tip each, and then we'll close it out. So we usually work on 4 or 5 singing calls for the night, and we kind of share patter on a couple of those tips, and then we just close out the night with 2 singing calls. So that's those when we're dances together. When we're doing our lessons, we just kind of switch off every 15 to 20 minutes. I'll teach something and usually roll in a singing call, and Brad will teach something, and obviously there's tons of review time, but that's what we do for our lesson nights. And the thing is each of us ends up having some schedule conflicts with Tuesdays anyway, so it works out really well because there's 2 of us. So if one of us can't be there, the other just covers the whole lesson, which is not a big deal, which is nice. It gives us some flexibility. There's a club that has dances on Tuesday night that they ask me to call for them a number of times a year, and then Brad has some other commitments besides, so he has some Tuesday nights that he's not available. But that's kind of how we handle the lessons, and that's kind of how the dances are scheduled and stuff. And while we are away for momentarily, I just wanted to emphasize that Michelle and Shar are the brains of the operation. They're the ones that make it happen.
I understand that. Absolutely.
They're the fine tuners. They're the everything. And Brad and I support them, and we're the entertainment.
I got you.
Michelle and Shar make it happen.
Yeah, it's a tough job, luckily the clubs that I call for, I'm an employee, what it amounts to. Because they have presidents, vice presidents, treasurers, and all that. Yeah, I can imagine a call or run club like that. It'd be tough. You couldn't do it by yourself, that's for sure. So letting them do the heavy lifting, for lack of a better term, is what's happening. So it's good for y'all, man.
Yeah.
It's a great setup y'all have. I really enjoyed coming out there. That was a lot of fun. And when you can see dancers, because I've had the opportunity since I retired to call it a bunch of different locations here lately, and you see a different energy when it comes to dancers, regardless of the age, but the excitement, that's better than the energy word, I guess, the excitement, and just the feel when you walk in to B&B. When I went in there, I mean, I was like, this is a little bit different. I mean, these people are excited about being here. Some of them come because it's what they do on Friday night or Tuesday night or Monday night. But there's people that come that want to dance, and that's the feel I got from the B&B folks, and that's really nice to have. So tell me.
Well, that's great. Glad to hear it.
Oh, absolutely, man. What since you're really just starting out, you've been hitting it for about 7-8 years now. What's some of the hardest parts or more enjoyable parts of calling for you?
Yeah. So and just to clarify, it's totally cool, Charlie. So we've been dancing about that long. I've been working on calling for just a little more than
4 years.
years.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, but that's cool. I mean, because really it was like a whole year plus run up, and then you start going through the steps, and it takes time to build, but that's totally fine.
Right.
What are you're kind of asking about the challenges, or is that what you're?
Yeah. What do you find? I mean, of course, there's good singers, there's okay singers. So the singing calls are what they are. They're
Yeah.
not hard. But what is it? The pattern? What do you struggle with? What do you find easy?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when I started just started with singing calls to start with, it was it was a challenge to hear or to catch the timing.
Mhm.
Not so much the timing of the music, but just from the opener to the first two sets of figures, the next two sets of figure music, and you got in the middle break, and then the next two figures, and to understand how that fit together, how the timing fit together. But the more I worked on it and the more songs I added, it just becomes more and more natural. And of course, the more you dance, you hear a few more songs, and as a caller, I'm tuned in to what's happening a lot more as a dancer, and just following what that caller's doing at the front of the room, and following their music and all that kind of stuff. But I've gotten to the now where if I pick up new singing call, I get the I can hear the timing, and
Okay.
when to enter, and when to give calls, and when to sing, and all that kind of stuff. Um, the pattern was a significant challenge. Just first you learn to put stuff together that's even good flow and good
Sure.
handedness, and not do stuff you know four left hands in a row and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I kind of get a feel for that. And but you're trying to do it with some flow, and so people are moving,
Right.
and so you want to have the handedness good, you want the flow to be good. And I can't overstate how influential and helpful Dan Sahlstrom has been, because he's been able to identify little tiny things that can be improved, that add up to a lot.
Yeah.
um but I you know so it's one thing just helping the dancers moving, and having good um body flow, and keeping good movement without stopping and starting. That's its own challenge. Then figuring out how to resolve, and you learn two resolves, and you work with them. And then for me, for quite a while, the hardest part was just I understood how to resolve. I started figuring out how to get people together
Mhm.
who I want together, how to actually manipulate the square a bit with our calls. But then it was just a challenge to always remember who are my I watch number one and number four couples, or number one couple and number four girl, and is she paired up or not? And just remembering who those people are. So putting all that together, I mean, anybody that's done this for a while knows that. But I kind of developed a plan, or a regimen to train myself, and that was that. And I think it's had a huge impact on my for the better for my pattern calling, and that is I call to no one a ton, like hours a
Right.
week, a number of hours a week. I will pattern call, and what I'm doing is just following all the formations and following the movement of the dancers in my mind. And so I can go out and walk a mile, and I can be patter calling and following the formations and where the dancers are moving the whole time, or I'll be in the basement and I'm just playing the pattern music that I like. And so I'm calling and keeping. So, and then I've kind of added um, more resolves, more resolve formations, and more resolve setups. And so I would say the patter is the biggest challenge, but that's kind of been my approach to meeting the challenge, is to know in my head what I'm asking the dancers to do. That's kind of how I go about it.
Now that's a great approach. I mean, you do have to call to nobody. You have to sit on your sofa,
Yeah.
go out for a walk, and try and track it in your head. And when you talk to some of the callers, like a Dan Sahlstrom, I always go to
Yeah.
my mentors, Tony Oxendine. I can show them a figure and they can tell you where every single dancer is if they're reading it on the paper, and it just amaze me,
Yeah.
because you could give Dan six calls and say, "Where's the number two man?" and he would tell you exactly where he's standing in the square, and that's just amazing. First time I met Dan, well, I knew who Dan was. I can't remember which convention it was when he started doing GSI. Um, I took he was one of the instructors in one of the GSI schools that I was in at whatever convention
Mm-hmm.
national that was. And I was just like, this is one of the nicest guys. And afterwards, I went up and told him, that it was a pleasure meeting him and all that. And then I sent an email to Tony at the end of that convention and said, I didn't know who this Dan Sahlstrom guy was prior to, but he is just an outstanding guy. And
Yeah.
he was like, "Well, I appreciate you telling me that was." So, and ever since then, me and Dan, we see each other at conventions and what have you, because we don't cross paths
Yeah.
much, being from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, what do y'all have anything coming up? What's your future looking like with B&B? And you're going to get out and call some? I mean, I know obviously you have to work.
Yeah.
What you got coming up?
Yeah. So I've been, um, there's a number of clubs around the kind of outstate Minnesota, smaller clubs. And so I get work, with those clubs. There's a number of clubs around the metro area. And so a typical month, I'll have two or three club dances. Um, so I usually have, something on each month. And if the schedule works out, sometimes I might even have more than three in a month.
Nice.
Um, so this summer yet, I've got a club dance in at the end of July. I don't think I have anything in August, but we're doing a couple of demos. I have been doing some parties too, some dance parties, and that's really fun, and kind of intro parties. I got some ideas, some great ideas from um, Vernon Jones and Bob Osgood a year ago at Caller Lab, and took those ideas and really kind of ran with them and tried to make something of them. And I used some of the Caller Lab resources, and I took a few cues, some ideas from Dan Sahlstrom, and then I've been fortunate to get a number of invites or requests for dance parties, and I've really tried to refine it so that everybody's having a ton of fun, and I'm not just hitting them with squares only. I have a lot of different stuff that I do.
Oh, good.
But I have a demo coming up at the end of August, and then B&B School also has. Um, we have a demo, kind of a, I don't know if you can call it a demo night, just a fun night at one. There's a local, um, there's a brewery place here in Buffalo, and they have a rooftop deck. And in the summer, each week on Saturdays, they have some kind of entertainment or fun or whatever on the rooftop deck on Saturday evening. So we're doing that once. Um, our Swing Masters Caller Association or Caller Group has an event, an all-day event in August. So I'll call 2 or 3 tips then at that event. What else was I thinking of? Oh, and B&B Squares is also doing 3 dances at the Music in the Park. So the city of Buffalo puts on there. We have a beautiful park, lakeside park, with an amphitheater and a beautiful open space that faces Buffalo Lake. And so they have Music Park once a week during the summer. And we're not going to be in the amphitheater, but we are going to be off to the side preceding the event. And we're just going to put on a free dance. And Brad and I will call, and anybody that wants to come. So it's just a way to get some exposure. We were able to do one of them last year. We got kind of up late in the season, but we're doing 3 Music in the Park nights coming up in August. So we'll have 3 of those, just 1-hour dances. But people that know how to dance can come and hoop it up, and we'll have some fun, and we'll just, get some exposure. People will be walking right past what we're doing on their way to the amphitheater. They're just, 100 yards apart or whatever. So
That's awesome.
got stuff going on.
That's good to hear, man. Well, Bill, we'll go ahead and shut it down, brother. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Again, we are literally opposite sides of the country. Me being in Georgia and you're in Minnesota. But if you and Shar ever load up the camper and head this way, I've got 3 clubs.
Yeah.
I would love for you to come down here and call, and hopefully I can get back up there at some point. So I'm trying to think, what's the next thing we have? The next thing will be Caller Lab. Jesus, that's 6-7 months away before I get to see y'all again.
Well, that's in March. I mean, there's a lot of. There's got to be a lot of water under the bridge between now and then. But looking forward to it, of course.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Yeah. So at the moment, planning to be there in March.
Awesome.
Indiana,
awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, Bill. It's a pleasure talking to you, buddy. And I'll talk to you soon. You have a good night,
thanks
man.
a lot, Charlie, for having me on. It was great talking to you.
Absolutely. We'll do it again soon, buddy. We'll talk to you, Bill.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.
Circle left. I know where I come from. How about you? Left Alaman and then no side do you do. Left Alaman and weave the ring. These scars on my knuckles match the scuffs on these cowboy boots. And there's a whole lot more like me. How about you? Head square through. Do a do-side-do. Swing through the night, then those boys run right. Half tag, scoot back and go. That boy run right, slide through the corner, swing and you promenade. Well, I punch the clock trying to make it to the top. How about you? Head square through. Do a do-side-do. Swing through the night, boy, run right. You do half tag, scoot back and go. That boy run right, slide through the corner, swing and you promenade. I punch the clock trying to make it to the top. How about you? Sights face grand square to tell the truth. I think we're the chosen few. That's just me. Do you feel the way I do? 4 girls promenade one time. Get back and swing and you promenade. Oh, that's just me. How about you? Side square through. Do a do-side-do. then those boys run right. Half tag, scoot back and go. That boy run right, slide through the corner, swing and you promenade. Hey, I like my country rockin'. Oh, how about you? Sight square through. Do a do-side-do. Swing through the night, then those boys run right. Half tag, scoot back and go. That boy run right, slide through the corner, swing and you promenade. I like my country rockin'. Oh, how about you? Sights, face, grand square to tell the truth. I think we're the chosen few. That's just me. Do you feel the way I do? 4 boys promenade one time. Get back and swing and you promenade. Oh, that's just me. How about you? How about you?